Hello, I hope you're enjoying your day so far. I'm Betsan Corkill and I'm based in the city of Bath in the UK. I'm a former physiotherapist now working as a lifestyle health and well-being coach. And I'm going to talk to you today about using knitting to improve health and well-being. I've been researching the meditative, creative and social benefits of knitting since 2005. I also set up Stitch Links in 2005 because I recognised that people would need a safe, trustworthy source of information about using knitting therapeutically. Our newsletter now goes out to 92 countries. I want to start by drawing your attention to the biological fact that we all have the power to change ourselves, neurologically, biologically, even the way our brain is connected and our neurons work. And that's such a powerful, hopeful message. And therapeutic knitting can be used as an effective tool to facilitate this positive change. Our systems aren't simply able to change, they were designed to change in response to experience and our environment. And this is called plasticity, and we can learn to use this fact to our advantage. Even the way you think can change your immune system. When I first heard this, I thought, wow, the way I think, my state of mind, could influence whether I catch a cold or not. Gone are the days when we thought our brain and nervous system were hardwired. They're capable of change throughout life into old age, and that's exciting. But you have to take action to ensure this happens. It's very much a case of using it or losing it for your mind and body. And changes are reversible, and that's really good news because it gives us the potential to change negative issues. Our other systems are changing all the time too. Our stress and immune systems change in response to our environment. Our muscles and heart change in response to the amount of exercise we do. Even your skin. If you walk for long enough without shoes on, the skin on the soles of your feet will thicken up. So our biological systems are changing all the time. Our bodies work as a whole within an environment and culture and change in response. So we need to consider our health and well-being from this wider perspective of the whole complex human within their environment, culture and world. Everything you do, everyone you meet, even the things you read, listen to on the radio or watch on the TV will affect your well-being. So we need to look beyond medical treatment for long-term success and consider your health within the wider context of your whole life. Dr. Margaret Hanna puts it very nicely in her book Humanising Healthcare, Patterns of Hope for a System Under Strain. In it she says, health is not just the absence of disease. Becoming well is about restoring connection with life through a healthy relationship with ourselves, other people and the wider world. I've been collecting stories from knitters around the world since 2005 and became intrigued why some people live happy, fulfilled lives despite numerous problems, while others sink under seemingly minor issues. And these core issues came up time and time again, and they apply to us all. The other things going on in your life make a big difference to how you manage life's inevitable challenges, as well as how you manage or recover from illness. And I'm making a distinction here between rewarding purposeful occupation and dutiful purposeful occupation. For me, housework would be dutiful purposeful occupation. Those who are busy, stressed or ill often prioritise dutiful activities over those beneficial for their well-being, and that needs to be turned around. And these issues feed on each other to give symptoms such as stress, worry, sleep problems, irritable bowel syndrome, migraines, muscle tension and pain. And it's my experience that if these underlying core issues aren't dealt with, it becomes very difficult to deal with the symptoms. So you need to deal with these issues for longer term success. And therapeutic knitting alone and in a group can help you deal with these. I'm often asked if there's a difference between knitting and therapeutic knitting. The idea of therapeutic knitting has evolved over the years. Therapeutic knitting equals a combination of knitting and knowledge to deliberately improve well-being. It's about having knowledge about whole person health and about how you can enhance the benefits of knitting to improve well-being. So it can work if you are fit and healthy to manage stress on a day-to-day basis as well as life's inevitable challenges, or it can be taken a step further to manage a range of medical conditions. We can also use knitting groups to help integrate people, refugees for example, into new communities. So let's take a look behind the K word. Knitting equals patterns of hand movement and hand position, and an enriched environment. And you can choose to knit in a group with all the extra benefits that brings. In addition to the benefits listed, knitting in a group encourages the sharing of stories, enables the building of safe, supportive networks, and can help to integrate people on the margins of society into their communities. The benefits of knitting alone are different from knitting in a group, and you'll find the benefits outlined in column 2 and 3 in other creative activities. All of the issues listed here are beneficial for your well-being. The portability of knitting is really important in its use as a therapeutic tool. It gives you a powerful tool at your fingertips anytime, anywhere. Even in the middle of the night when things can often seem quite dark, or on crowded public transport. It enables people to be more social because knitting acts as a self-soothing tool to manage any worries or emotions you may have, and also enables us to use it in a busy clinical environment. Along with this portability, it's this first column that sets knitting apart from other activities. The function of your hands and the information we get through them is really important. Our hands have driven the development of our brains throughout evolution. Lucy was a pre-human who lived about 3.2 million years ago in eastern Africa, and she was found to have an un-ape-like hand but an ape-like brain, so her hands were evolving before her brain. We know that bilateral coordinated patterns of movement that cross the midline of the body take up a lot of brain capacity. They make your brain work hard. Your brain has a fixed capacity for conscious attention in any given moment. When you're totally absorbed in an activity like this, your brain has less capacity left to pay attention to other issues, which might be detrimental to your well-being. The rhythm of the movements facilitates a meditative-like state, a sense of deep relaxation, and it's instantaneously familiar, calming and relaxing. The brain likes rhythmic movement because it's predictable. It makes the brain feel safe. And we engage in rhythmic repetitive movement instinctively when we're stressed. Many ancient cultures have tools that involve repetitive hand movements to ease stress and distress. You have your rosary, worry beads, worry stones. The Chinese have chime balls. Nurturing feelings of safety is hugely important for well-being. In our Stitchling's Cardiff University study of over 3,500 knitters from 32 countries, one of our most significant findings was the most frequently people knit, the happier and calmer they feel. You needed to knit more than 3 times a week. If you combine this instantaneous calm with knitting's portability, you have a really powerful tool you can use anytime, anywhere. If you give your brain a background automatic task, it seems to facilitate more free-flowing conversation and laughter. It may facilitate access to the subconscious. Automatic movements happen in the subconscious. It seems to help break patterns of rumination. Knitters report that it seems to break these negative thought cycles. They tell me it gives them a break from the constant chitter-chatter of thoughts. The hand position protects personal space. It helps people to feel safer on public transport and when socialising, enabling them to go out more. The combination of rhythmic bodily movement and a meditative state is really important, and there's more evidence emerging that you can't control your mind with your mind, using what we call a top-down approach, but it's much more likely if you involve the bodily movement, so you're also changing the input into the brain, bottom-up. So knitting has the bottom-up input of the rhythmic movement and the top-down effect of the calm. An enriched environment is important for well-being and brain health. And I'm just going to pick out some of these. Creativity is important for well-being, psychological flexibility, self-management, and problem solving. If you're thinking creatively, you have more options open to you. There's no doubt in my mind that it's better to be actively creative rather than being a passive recipient in life. Regular novelty is good for us. It facilitates the growth of new brain cells, opens up new neural pathways, nurtures a healthy brain, opens up and enriches our world, and keeps us interested in the world and more interesting to other people. Regular novelty is easy to introduce through knitting. The importance of being successful at something has really shone through in this work. Your brain has a system called the reward system, which fires off a boost of feel-good, motivating, pain-relieving chemicals when you are successful at a task that requires a little effort. Part of the therapeutic approach is learning to set your projects at the right level, a level that requires a little effort, but at which you know you'll be successful at, certainly at the start. Doing things and being successful at them keeps this important brain circuit healthy. And you get 3 rewards when you knit: the ongoing reward of the process, the end product, and you can choose to give this as a gift to a friend, family or charity. And many people, particularly from vulnerable populations, will have nothing in their lives that they feel successful at. John Cacioppo's work into loneliness has found that we need to address the social and emotional aspects of loneliness. People need emotional nurturing. The feeling of loneliness causes stress levels to rise. It can increase inflammation. It decreases the effectiveness of sleep. So it makes a lot of sense to deal with loneliness as part of a whole person approach to well-being. We know that the feeling of loneliness is highly detrimental to health and well-being, and both knitting alone and knitting in a group will help you manage loneliness. Knitting groups provide a means of safe, rich social contact with people from different cultural backgrounds, a range of educational backgrounds, so knitters from all walks of life and ages. And this is really important for building compassion and understanding in communities. Knitting enables social engagement. The activity makes it easier to attend a group. A common interest gives you a point of conversation outside yourself. Hand position protects your personal space, making you feel safer. Knitting provides you with a self-soothing tool to manage any emotions or anxiety at attending a group. And you can choose whether to have eye contact or not. And we found that the or not is really important, because it's perfectly acceptable to sit and knit quietly, and this puts the knitter in complete control over how much they wish to participate. Loneliness and being alone are very different. Knitting alone can also help you deal with loneliness. Knitting enables you to learn to just be in your own company. And learning to enjoy solitude is important. Whereas loneliness raises threat level, enjoyment of solitude is beneficial to your well-being. It nurtures feelings of safety. In our Stitchling's Cardiff University study of over 3,500 people from 32 countries, another significant finding was that 81% of respondents reported feeling happier after knitting. 54% felt happy or very happy. Fewer than 1% remained sad, and excitingly this translated across to those with clinical depression. We also found that texture was twice as significant as colour for affecting mood. If you touch something good, you feel good. There's a growing need for instant gratification in our modern world. Lasting success in all aspects of life requires ongoing commitment, perseverance and patience. And we are in danger of losing those skills to the detriment of our well-being. And this has become a big problem in healthcare. We have come to expect a quick fix, to expect a doctor to fix us with a pill. Knitters told us they learn these skills through knitting. Knitting teaches you that you have to work towards and wait for the best outcomes. In our survey, knitters told us they learned patience, perseverance, planning, commitment, and that things are never perfect, that the best way of learning is through trial and error. Interestingly, they also told us that they learned that mistakes can be undone, that you can reach your end goal despite a few detours along the way, and often that end goal is richer as a result of the lessons learned. And these are really valuable life skills, and they're vital for long-term success in all areas of life, particularly health. Persevere and things will happen, things will change. So let's take it a step further now to use knitting to manage some common medical conditions. The practicalities are that it's portable, the learning process involves no wasted materials, deliverable in kit form to an armchair or bed, it's not messy to set up or clear up, it requires no artistic talent, the reward is attainable by all, it cuts across class, culture, educational background, and can be learnt or reinforced from DVDs, books, and YouTube. The stories from knitters mention over 60 medical conditions. Many of these conditions have symptoms in common, and these are some that knitting can help. We have, for example, helped people cure anxiety and panic episodes by getting them to carry around a small project which they take out when anxiety levels rise. And the instantaneous feeling of calm prevents it escalating further. Soon simply the knowledge that they have an effective tool at hand is enough. And this encourages them to continue going out and can prevent them from becoming fearful of leaving the house and eventually becoming housebound. I want to take a look at some of the myths now. Therapeutic knitting is not just for sick people. It can benefit anyone willing to give it a go. It can help all of us manage our stress on a day-to-day basis and help us cope with the challenges that life will inevitably throw our way. It's no coincidence that we've seen more people knitting during the pandemic. It has helped many cope with these challenging times. It can help to improve your sleep, raise your mood, or deal with loneliness. And it can also help us to grow and nurture a sense of belonging to a supportive network of friends, locally and globally, via the internet. It works for men too. The Knitting Men movement that began in Chile has now spread to other areas of South America. Their Facebook page has 99,000 followers. They gather to knit in public places with the specific aim of promoting a society that is less male-orientated, promoting gender equality. These knitting men are challenging the cultural beliefs that women in their society are seen as weak, and therefore men who knit are also seen as weak. But actually the first knitters were men. Knitting was also the treatment of choice for shell shock following World War I. This image shows soldiers being treated with knitting for shell shock, post-traumatic stress disorder, following World War I at Walter Reed Memorial Hospital in 1918. I've used knitting in a clinical setting with men, and I found that if I explain the benefits knitting could have for them, most of them are happy to learn. They're understandably a bit reluctant to join a group that is predominantly female, so tend to prefer to knit alone, but will be happy to knit in a men's group. So we really need the knitting men movement to spread wider. We hear a lot about knitting and mindfulness, but it's not just about mindfulness. As you will have seen from the knitting equation, it's a lot more complex and exciting. There are also a number of other mind states you can enter when you knit, and these have their benefits too. These are dependent on the project you're knitting, so have a few projects on the go that will enable you to go into a range of beneficial states of mind. You can choose to knit mindfully. A complex project or something new will facilitate a state of focused attention. An easy project will enable you to go into a state of effortless presence, or even a state of daydreaming, which can also be highly beneficial. Knitters say it's like giving their mind a mini break from the stresses of the world. People with hand pain can also knit, providing they choose the right materials and pace their knitting activity. It's very sad to see people stopping knitting because they think the movement will damage arthritic or painful hands further, when actually the movements, if practiced with the correct materials and pacing, will improve their hands. Wooden needles are generally easier. Polished beech has less friction than bamboo. Don't make the mistake of thinking big needles are better. Big needles means a heavier project. Very fine needles will also make your hands ache more. Circular needles will allow the weight of your work to rest in your lap, and if necessary, rest a pillow on your lap to rest your hands on the pillow to support the weight. Pace your knitting. If your hands are very painful, you may only be able to knit 5 stitches. So stop and do another 5 in an hour's time and gradually build up the amount of work your hands are able to do. It'll improve your hand function in other areas of life too. Movement lubricates and strengthens joints and muscles, so pain will improve too when the activity is paced and gradually increased. Sitting for long periods of time is highly detrimental to health in many ways, so you should get up every 20 to 30 minutes and walk around to get your circulation going, stretch your hands gently, and focus your eyes on a distant object. This is a really important part of knitting therapeutically. And you don't have to be an expert for it to become therapeutic. The movements become rhythmic very quickly. Allow your mind to slow and flow into the rhythm of your hands. It's more about the process than the end product. Knitting has the potential to change you neurologically, biologically, behaviourally, socially. It can also change your personal story. It's a powerful portable tool you can use anytime, anywhere to improve your well-being. I've only been able to give you a snapshot today. If you're interested in finding out more, my book, Knit for Health and Wellness, is also available in German and Spanish. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope you really enjoy the rest of your day.